For the final road course race of the 1UP Nitro National Series season, we're at an old favorite, the Denver Motorsports Park. We're at their 3.7-mile road course configuration for today's race, 20 laps in duration. It's going to test even the hardiest of our National Series drivers here this afternoon as 12 of them chase for a championship. Alongside me in the booth for today's race is Duke and Zach, as per usual, and we've got a lot of heavy hitters starting in the top 10 and all of our playoff contenders starting inside the top 20. The cream has risen to the top here at Denver's road course. This is going to be a very interesting one because this is a place you can make passes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and this race is going to be one of those interesting ones in the playoffs where, it's a little bit of a wild card. We got some guys in the field that are typically the front runners at road courses. And of course, anything can happen. We're in the playoffs, and the margin is so close between not only the top five, who are only separated by 9 points, but the rest of them as well, separated than less of a total race in points apart from each other as early in the running here. So this thing could get mixed up real big here. And the drivers who are in the front of the standings or at the top of the standings really need to kind of protect that right here at this race and not have any issues, because it's going to be really, really tough to recover from any issues today. And if you're in the back, today is a great day to try to capitalize and see if you can start to dig out of that hole that you might be in. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think there's going to be a lot of storylines to talk about during the race and, of course, after the race as well.
Looking now at the starting lineup for today's 20-lap race, Zachary DeLello gets his second pole of the season. He got one at Darlington earlier this season. This is his first one on a road course. And alongside him, Patrick Smith, the Decatur winner, lines up second. Cody Goforth, the Old Spice pole sitter, lines up third. Ryan Caggiano, the Trois-Rivières winner, lines up fourth. And Kyle Corbett rounds out the top five. Like you said, we've got a lot of road course favorites up here, like in the form of Patrick Smith, Ryan Caggiano. You even have Nicky Martinez in the top 8. You got Alex Verjeperub just outside the top 10. Austin Holloman making his return to the series after a few races away. A lot of big names on the road courses starting up front, and they've got a lot of time to make it happen today as well.
That's true, and I definitely wouldn't even, starting 11th and 12th, Alex Verjeperub and Austin Holloman, I absolutely wouldn't rule them out for this race. If they've got the car underneath them, they could definitely drive up through the field and have a shot at this thing, but it's going to be tough to beat those guys up front, and of course, you're not going to get any yellows today, so you're not going to have any help. It's going to be hard charging from the beginning all the way to the end of the race, and don't crash.
So with that being said, all the cars are lined up on the grid. We are ready to bring you 20 laps of racing action from the Denver Motorsports Park road course. This, of course, is the 1UP Nitro National Series from Denver. The green flag is next. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss a second of the heart-pounding action set to take place over the next 20 laps. As the field rolls through the final chicane, heading towards this restart zone at the start-finish line, Zachary DeLello and Patrick Smith leading us into the zone. They hit the zone, the green flag is out, we're underway at Denver, and already we're seeing folks fan out 3 wide on the start. Could even be 4 by the time they go for turns 1 and 2. This is a great place to make passes and a great time to do it as well, because everybody is perfectly packed together for some late braking into turn 3.
Yeah, it sure is incredible that you got pretty much a super speedway leading into a road course turn 1 right here with all the drivers, and here they go into this. And it's actually turn 3, but it's really the first road course turn into the infield at this Denver racetrack. It's really just an amazing place to watch racing, and we've got a great race for the lead here, but it looks like DeLello is going to start to drive away a little bit, an early lead for the 03 car over Caggiano right now.
DeLello, of course, looking for his first career win in the Nitro National Series. Caggiano looking for what could be his last in the Nitro National Series. He's retiring at the end of this year as Caggiano. He won at Trois-Rivières earlier this season. As you see, everybody made it through the first half of the lap cleanly. As now we file down to the infield straightaway, heading towards turn 10. This is a banked corner turn 10. You could be able to see a couple different lines being made through here, as we see DeLello now going through turn 11 with the lead, but Caggiano not too far behind.
Yeah, so this is the turn 12 and turn 13 area right here that brings you back onto the big oval. that surrounds this infield section here in Denver. And yeah, DeLello is going to keep the lead here and stay ahead, but this is a big drafting area, so it all depends on how you get out of that turn 13. That's a big moment on this track because of this long straightaway. If you don't get out of there well, you're going to lose a ton of time. And here comes Caggiano going into this chicane that we have that kind of breaks up the whole coming out of the oval turn 4, which is turn 15 here, and then onto the straightaway. So this will complete the first lap for DeLello, and he still has the lead, but Caggiano breathing down his throat a little bit right here, and he's maybe going to be close enough with a little bit of draft to make a move going into turn 3.
But DeLello chokes off his access point because you don't want to go onto the apron if you can help it. It's very flat down there. You can't really make that many passes here on that part of the racetrack as they dive it off into turn 3. Kyle Corbett now side by side with Caggiano for the runners-up spot. Corbett, of course, a winner this season at Washington, D.C., now trying to get his second at Denver. He's clear of Caggiano for second place. Now the 66 has to set off after this 03 car, who's been in firm command of this race so far.
Yeah, that's a really beneficial spot to make a move right there into turn 3 because you can kind of start that move going into turn 3, catch yourself between 3 and 4, and then you've got a corner that's turn 4 that's the same direction, so you're still on the inside in the deferred lane all the way through that section, so you can complete the pass pretty easily. That's why it's such an important passing zone at this track. And now we're watching Keon Daly here, and the 52 is running 6th right now, and we're going back through the field, and it looks like everybody is calmed down a little bit here, single file, getting your bearings straight, trying to figure out the track conditions for today. And of course they haven't been on the track today yet, so they're figuring all that out, and they're heading back onto the oval, and we'll see who gets a good run.
Kudos to Austin Holloman, who's running in the top 10 in his first race back after injury. But here's the battle for 4th place between Patrick Smith and Keon Daly. Daly, of course, missed the playoffs. Patrick Smith currently second in the points. So Smith, as things run right now, he would be the points leader after this race, Patrick Smith would. But as Zachary DeLello comes off for the final corner, turn 18, he'll come across the line and he'll comfortably lead lap number 2 ahead of Corbett.
Yeah, so this is a big moment for this 03 car. I mean, definitely need a good run today. Got to hold off all those guys behind and doing a really great job right now, holding off Kyle Corbett, not letting him get very close, especially through here like we've been talking about. This turn 3 braking zone is such a big place to make a move, so we'll see. I don't think the 66 is close enough. Wisely, not going to dive it in, except got a really good entry, so now is right on the bumper of that 03 car. This could set up for quite an interesting little section through the infield. Oh, but he got so wide out of that corner right there.
And we've seen this before here. In last year's races here, we saw cars run very wide through turn 4, and it's always cost them time. That may have been what happened to Kyle Corbett there. But he's staying within striking distance of DeLello, heading into the downhill chicane 7, 8, and 9. And at this point in time, DeLello holds a pretty steady wheel. He keeps the lead of this race. That chicane is such an easy spot to run into trouble. We saw that last year when Zachary Bilson went head-on into the Armco.
Yeah, that is a scary part of the track, but a ton of fun. I mean, man, oh man, it's such a unique part of this racetrack, and it's just a lot of fun. You know, you got to really nail it to get down there well, and if you do, it feels so good. So here they come through turn 12 and 13 again, off into the straightaway, and we'll see. It looks like the 03 got a better run off of the corner, so he starts to pull away, but of course there is a big draft, and the 66 is fairly close, I'd say. Of course, they've got that chicane they still have to go through here, so we'll see if the 66 is able to maybe close that gap a little bit more through the chicane. Not sure. Keon Daly has gone through and passed the 04 car, so now is sitting in 4th place. And these guys have not spread out as much as I thought they would have by this point in the race. They're still packed pretty tight, the top 4 and 5 right here.
Yeah, Daly started 9th in this race, has already gained 5 spots, up into the 5th spot. Ryan Caggiano started 4th, he's gained 1, Corbett's gained 3, DeLello's held station, Patrick Smith's lost 3, Cody Goforth's lost 3 as well. A lot of shuffling for position in the early laps here at Denver, and here comes Ryan Caggiano. He wants to lead, or the second position back from Kyle Corbett, but they both go wide in turn 4 that time. That allows folks like Daly and Patrick Smith to close right back in on them.
Yeah, you can't do that too many times. Yeah, I have yet to see this leader do make that move. I've yet to see him go wide or make that mistake through that
run wide in turn 6 right there, but that just might be a different line he wants to take to try and arc the corner a little better as they head down through the chicane once again.
Yeah.
Heading through this short kink, we barely consider it a corner here. They can take it flat out. And heading into the bank turn 10, this might be a place where Corbett can close up, and he is closing up in quite a big way.
Wow, a great run from Kyle Corbett there through that corner. So now he's closer than he has been headed into 11 and 12. Let's see, he's not going to be able to make much of a gain there. Through here, maybe. You got to enter a little bit wider into turn 13 and cut low off the corner. It looks like they both take about the same line there. Everybody kind of takes the same line coming out of that corner, but that would be a good way if you enter high, cut low. That'd be a good way to gain some position or some speed, momentum down the back straightaway. So we'll see how this plays out here through the chicane. Great camera angle right here on these cars. And DeLello goes way wide.
That might have helped him, though, because it let him straight line the exit of the chicane, and that might let him extend his lead a little bit over Corbett. Let's see what the gap is now. He lost about a couple hundredths, but that's fine, as long as he can keep a lead like this. DeLello's looking for his first tour win. Kyle Corbett looking for a ride for next year. He's got nothing lined up for 2023. Robbers Racing are moving on to bigger things with Robert Weaver sliding into that car next year. A lot is riding on Kyle Corbett. Getting a good result here today, it could determine his future.
Yeah, but he goes wide again through turn 4. That's the third lap in a row for Kyle Corbett in the 66 going wide right there. And that just sets him up for failure for the rest of the lap. He spends the whole rest of the lap gaining all that time he loses in turn 4 off. And now the 03 goes high again. And I guess that's going to give him a good run off the outside lane right there. And now Keon Daly, who might have one of the fastest cars in this race, tries to make it too wide with the 81. It won't be enough to pass him or stay beside him, but he's making a couple of really great moves in this race. Keon Daly looking very, very good. That 52 car is fast.
Fighting with his championship rival from last year is Keon Daly. Now, of course, he's not even in the title picture at all, is the 52. But Daly also has the fastest lap of the race currently, so he's got a good shot at picking up a point for that. Could help him in his bid to outscore Nicky Martinez and come home best of the rest this year. But the Kings Motorsports duo run 3rd and 4th behind Corbett and DeLello. They go through 14 and 15, headed towards the chicane to complete the 1/4 mark of this race. And so far, DeLello's held station, but Corbett's been pressuring him every second of the way.
Yeah, man, and he's really close to the chicane right here. Let's see if the 03 does anything funky this time. He doesn't, keeps the normal groove, but the 66 is close. So we'll see. It's really going to come down to turn 4 again for that 66. If he can avoid that mistake, he might have a shot on the rest of the lap to make a move at some point, but so far he has not been able to nail turn 4 a single time in this race. So we'll see what happens when we get down there.
And note how Corbett's the only one who can actually make up time for the rest of the lap, even if he does make a mistake in turn 4 as they come from turn 3. They're headed for turn 4 now, and we'll see if Corbett does the same thing again.
He's going wide again, my goodness.
Not as much as before, though, so he is able to maintain a little bit of time, but that just lets the 03 get further and further ahead, and it allows him to keep the lead for the rest of the infield section at least. But DeLello likes to run a lane higher through turn 6. I'm not sure if that's to get a better exit. He's sacrificing his entry to gain a lot of time on exits. They head through the chicane once again in turns 7, 8, and 9. And now Caggiano's starting to gain on Corbett and DeLello as well. He's starting to drop Keon Daly in 4th spot. These 3 could be contenders for the win at this rate.
They absolutely could be, and I think that they probably will be unless there's any type of disaster. But I'd really like to see somebody take advantage of that line that DeLello has been running through turn 6. I think that could be a big factor in the end of this race. We'll see if maybe Caggiano can cut off that corner right there. He doesn't. He's going to lose a lot of momentum because he doesn't. But yeah, this is a very fascinating race right now. I am longing for the lap that Kyle Corbett can finally make turn 4 happen, because if he could get as good a run as the 03 gets through there, we would have quite the race through the infield section and possibly change for the lead, and they all close in so much through there. But they head back out on the front straightaway down to collect their next lap here. And the 66 is pretty close. They're all pretty close. The whole top 4 right here going into turn 3. This could be interesting.
Corbett's close enough. He might try he's going to try for a move. Oh, but DeLello pinches him onto the apron of the racetrack. That is a great defense from Zachary DeLello, pushing the 66 onto the apron. There's no out of bounds here at the Denver Road Course or on the oval for good measure, but that's a great defensive line from Zachary DeLello, forcing the 66 to go.
Daly. Sorry,
Daly runs
way wide.
It's a great defense from DeLello, forcing Corbett to go lower than he wanted to, and that's basically saying, if you want to pass me, you're going to have to do it on the apron, otherwise we're both going to get taken out.
Yeah, you're right about that. That was a great move to just run down there. You know, it's a simple one, but a great one at that. We've got a battle side by side going through here. That could be dangerous in the back there with Nicky Martinez and the 04 car. And Nicky Martinez makes the pass right there in the 25. Great move. However, the leaders, yeah, they hold steady here. But now I think that 66 starting to learn a little bit. Kyle Corbett is, so he might get a little bit fancy with some moves coming up in the next couple of laps.
That's certainly the case as they make their way through turn 12, now heading off of 13. Caggiano's a lot closer to Corbett than Corbett is to DeLello as they round turns 14 and 15 for the 7th time in this race. Only got 20 laps here, so you got to make everyone count. As DeLello comes off of turn 15, headed for the front stretch chicane, and it looks as though he'll be able to keep the lead for at least one more lap. But Corbett's really closing in on DeLello this time around. It'll be interesting to see if he tries the same move again going into turn 1.
Boy, I'd be curious about maybe a move to the outside. I don't know if anybody will do it, but I'm curious to see if it would work. Here comes the 66.
Look at the draft he's got. He pulls out to the bottom of the racetrack. Will DeLello do the same thing he did on the previous lap? Yes, he will. He pushes Corbett onto the apron of the racetrack. Corbett's doing a better job at staying alongside the 03, but he just has to back out for just that little bit. And DeLello holds the lead again as they go into the infield.
Boy, man, he just barely held on to it that time, though. And, of course, the 66 is going to run wide again and still has yet to solve that corner. Turn 4 is absolutely eluding everybody behind the leader right now. But this is quite the battle. I mean, every single lap it kind of loads up and then ends up being side by side on the front straightaway. That is just awesome. And eventually, Kyle Corbett is going to get this thing figured out, and Zachary DeLello won't be able to do anything about it. And especially because the 66 is gaining a lot more on him each lap. He's starting to figure out the rest of this infield section. Look how close he is already. And we're only halfway through this infield section now. So that 66 car is starting to look better and better every single lap. I'm not sure how much longer DeLello can keep the lead.
Heading towards turn 12 now through 11. Corbett might try and make a move down the inside into 12. We haven't seen a move here all day long. And Corbett gets alongside DeLello heading off of 13 and into 14, the oval turn 3. Corbett, that inside line might have bit him through turn 12. And DeLello's pushing him onto the apron again for good measure to hold off the challenge from the 66. But you're right. Corbett's a lot closer this time. Side by side into the chicane. Watch those curbs. They're really tall in this chicane. We've seen cars get flipped over on those curbs before. But as they come off of turn 18, Zachary DeLello holds the lead, but now it's a 3-horse battle up front.
I do not know how Corbett is still so close to Zachary DeLello right now after being on the wrong side of just about every corner coming out of the infield section. I'm just not sure. And then he takes a move out of DeLello's book to push the 81 down onto the apron, so he keeps second place here. He won't have a shot at the lead going into turn 3. But boy, oh boy, has he been putting up a fight in the last couple of laps. This is awesome.
I honestly, as Martinez looks like she ran wide through turn 4, that's going to open the door for Patrick Smith. I honestly believe that 66 is the best car here at this point. DeLello's doing a fantastic job holding him off, but I feel like as soon as that 66 is able to get by, he's going to be able to really mount the charge. As we got Todd Hemler in the 38 battling the 01 of Cody Goforth. That's for the 8th spot. Hemler's put together a strong run of races as of late. I believe he finished on the podium at Nashville last time out. He's running in the top 10 here. He's well earned his full-time ride next year. And honestly, as we look back through the rest of the field, I honestly expected more out of this 3-car today. He's been very good on road courses as of late. He won the last one at Old Spice Speedway, but he hasn't been able to crack the top 10 yet, running 11th right behind Dylan Young. There's still plenty of time to make this happen, still half the race to go, but there's still... I don't think we've seen the best that 3 can do.
No, I agree with that. He's still in his starting position in 11th right there, and yeah, that's just a kind of a modest run from that car right now. We're approaching halfway through this race, and he just yeah, I think that everybody was expecting a little bit more out of that 3-car coming up through the field, similar to how Keon Daly has been making a lot of passes. The same with Patrick Smith, who's going for another one. But meanwhile, we've got a battle for the lead here. It's Kyle Corbett again, trying to mount a charge against the 03. This is the old...
Oh, I think he's got a real good shot this time.
Yeah.
He's gotten to the inside before they even get to turn 1. This time, DeLillo has no hope of putting the 66 onto the apron. But the 66 goes there anyway, though, to hook the white line, and that might be enough. He's still side by side going into turn 3. I think Corbett's going to get him right here.
Comes 81 as well. Ryan Caggiano looking to also capitalize on this move, possibly get through to second place. The 66 is cleared, and the 81, is he going to get through to second place? I think he will. Man, DeLillo loses 2 in 1 set of corners right there, but Kyle Corbett takes the lead, so we'll see if what you were saying comes true, that he's going to start to drive away here. He's definitely shown that he is one of the fastest drivers through the infield section. We'll see. Now that he's in clean air, what can that 66 car do? He's already starting to drive away from Ryan Caggiano.
Yeah, Corbett to the lead, Caggiano to second, DeLillo back to third. We're closing in on the end of the first half of this race, and Corbett's starting to set sail. I'm starting to think DeLillo might have burnt through his tires a little bit, trying to hold off the 66. And remember, we don't anticipate a pit stop today, so he's going to have to make those work for the remaining 10 laps of this race. And if you think, oh, it's 10 laps, they'll be over in an instant. He can nurse those tires home. You have not seen a race at Denver Motorsports Park, and especially not on this road course configuration. That is a solid at least 45 miles to make it to the end of this race. That's going to be a tall order, but Zachary DeLillo, he's got third place right now. We'll see if he can hold on to it as Corbett sets sail with the lead.
Yeah, you're right. This 66 absolutely is driving away with it right now. And the 81 wasn't even really close enough to make anything happen in the draft. I think that without disasters, Kyle Corbett, he's just going to start driving away. And if he's got the tires to make it to the end of this thing, I think that it's going to be really tough to get to him. People need to start passing Zachary DeLillo right now if they want to have a shot at even second place, because, you know, these two, Patrick Smith, Keon Daly, sitting behind him, they're kind of tightened up right there, and they really have to get by if they want to have a shot of making a move up front. We got some side-by-side action here, farther back.
Multiple places, actually.
Yeah, a few places. I mean, this has been an action-packed race. We see a lot of people coming by side and making big moves into a couple corners here on this racetrack. So we'll see if maybe, you know, now that we're halfway through this race and we're kind of in the stretch point of this race, we'll see if anybody has been saving their stuff. Maybe they save it enough to get to the end. Meanwhile, Patrick Smith making a move, finally taking advantage of that outside line that the 03 has been running all day, and is just going to drive through this corner and pass it. Man, great move.
Yeah, I think Zachary DeLillo's stout defending is going to come back to bite him here a little bit. He used so much tire life trying to hold onto the lead, and once he lost it, he's been going backwards ever since. Keon Daly now gets around him as well to dump the pole sitter back to fifth, and he's got Alexa Luchon and Todd Hemler all over the back of him for that. But he's going to try and make this work. He's going to try and get back by the 52 through turn 13. You want to be on the outside going through 13 just to get a straighter shot into 14, but DeLillo's trying to make anything happen here. He wants to salvage as many points as he can out of this race. He's got a point for leading a lap in this race. He's probably not going to lead the most, because if Corbett can hang on and lead the rest of the way, he'll get that point. So DeLello is just doing everything he can to get as many points as he can, set himself up for a good finish here. Maybe not the win he wanted, but a good finish to get him ready for Talladega next week.
Yeah, Zachary DeLello really needed a better run than finishing in fifth or farther back. He really needed to be up front in this race. He was 38 points out of the lead coming into this race in the playoffs. So still a solid day if you can stay in the top 10 here. With that, possibly an extra couple of bonus points there, probably just the one, as we watch the 66. Of course, I think that the 81 is definitely not done with them yet. If the 81 has anything to say about it, we might be able to see that the 03 gets the most laps led with 9, but we'll see. We'll see how this thing finishes out. Because not totally sure yet. It's still
because if Ryan Caggiano can get past Kyle Corbett at any point, that will give the most laps led to Zachary DeLello by default. And I doubt very much that anybody's going to be able to take the fastest lap point off of Keon Daly. He's held that since lap 3. And their lap times are well off the pace of what they ran at the beginning, so that point's fairly safe with the 52 team. But you're right, this 81's holding on to the 66 a lot better than I thought he would. So Caggiano's doing what he can to hold on to a good spot here. And as you can see, Alexa Lucian has gotten around Zachary DeLello for the 5th spot, moved the 03 to 6th.
Yeah, he definitely burnt up those tires on that 03 car. Just a really tough situation there. Now all he can do is just drive as fast as he can and try to nurse those things to the end while he watches people go by. You definitely don't want to wreck, though. If you wreck, you're going to end up in a way worse spot than if you were to just kind of stay in there. He's still got a shot at a top 10, I think, based on how far back people are. But we'll have to see how that plays out for him. Meanwhile, the 81 goes really wide, but that could be
as
a good
does the 52. He overcooked it.
Yeah.
Both of the Kings Motorsports cars overcooked it into that final chicane, and that's going to cost them a little bit. Actually, maybe not. Ryan Caggiano just gained 0.2 on that last lap. He is charging after the 66. We'll see if it's enough to get him the lead.
Yeah, he's got a great run right here. I think that what he really needs is to just stay close through that infield section, because I think this 81 car is definitely better on the high banks here in Denver, and we'll see what he can do through turns 3 and 4 right here. Usually he's in that dirty air. Yeah, he's going to get a little bit loose right there and push out of turn 4. It's not too bad, but he's going to lose a little bit of time here to the leader. So he's going to have to spend some time regaining that time that he just lost through turn 4 back. And 66 starting to Kyle Corbett. He's starting to run that outside lane through turn 6 right there. So we'll see. We'll see how that impacts the rest of this race for him. Man, oh man, this is a fascinating one right here that we've got. The 81 and the 66 battling it out. It's all about strategy, all about who manages their tires the best at this point in the race.
And right now, you see Alex Verstappen did get around Dylan Young, put the 3 in the top 10 for the first time today. Young falls to 11th, just ahead of Holloman. And a special shout out to Kenneth Grant as well, bit of an underdog story, currently running in the 13th position. Strong showing from him. But back up towards the front of the field, you see DeLello sort of held station at about 6th place. He's able to hold off Hemler, Martinez, and them. But I don't think he's going to get any higher than that, because Lucian's already starting to pull away from him. And Caggiano's starting to fall off a little from the 66 of Corbett. So it's very easy to make a mistake at Denver Motorsports Park, especially on this configuration. But so far, Kyle Corbett hasn't put a foot wrong, aside from his turn 4 mishap.
Yeah, and you're right. You got 18 turns at this track. It's just an incredible amount of corners to have to go through every single lap without making a mistake. And of course, 4 of them are these big banked corners. But I mean, if you let your focus drift at all, your car is going to do a little bit of drifting too. So you just have to be careful, be focused all the way around here. And then if you can do that, you've got a real good shot of making something happen here. Let's see if the 81, it looks like he had a really good turn 4 right there. So he's going to be a little bit closer than he has been possibly through the infield section here. Maybe setting him up to have a good shot towards the end of this lap to possibly gain enough to sniff a little bit of the draft from the 66 down straightaways. We'll see.
They both ran the same line through turn 6, now through the downhill chicane. Caggiano's keeping in touch with Corbett, but he's not really challenging for the lead. And we're coming to 6 laps to go at the end of this lap. So, he's running out of opportunities. I know this is a long lap, and I know there's plenty of them left. We will have 6 laps to go when they get to the line next time by. But Corbett starting... If Caggiano gives Corbett any chance to stretch his legs, this could be game over.
Yeah, you're right. So he's just got to stay right on his game right here, and he's doing a really good job. He needs to catch a couple breaks, though. He needs that 66 car to maybe have that focus drift a little bit, gain a 10th here, 10th there, kind of get in the draft, catch up. As you can see, this camera shot we've got of the 66. There's no other cars in it, so that's good for him to see. We'll see how this chicane goes. 66 going wide. I think that they're starting to figure out that going wide right there isn't all too bad. Gain a little bit of time on the straightaway, straighten out that exit. Yeah, it looks like, that was a big gain on that lap for the 66. So he's almost a second ahead now. It's the biggest lead we've seen from anybody today, whole second ahead. And right now, Ryan Caggiano really needs to pick up the pace if he's going to have any shot at this thing by the end of it.
6 laps to go from Denver, and Kyle Corbett looking for his first road course win of his career. Ryan Caggiano looking for what could be his last win of any kind. This could be a big duel, and although Caggiano might maybe be starting to fall into the clutches of Patrick Smith and Keon Daly behind him. They're all starting to group together. As Corbett starts to pull away a little bit, this is going to be very close between them. As Corbett does run that wider line through turn 6, I think that's the right way to do things. Straighten out the exit as much as you can. It's almost like the Parabolica at Monza where the Superstar Series runs. If you can run wide through that corner, straight line the exit, you'll have a great opportunity into the banking on that circuit. That could be what these guys are trying to do here as well. But with Kyle Corbett now trying to extend his lead, Caggiano doing his best to prevent that from happening, we've got a bit of a stalemate up front until one of these two breaks away.
Yeah, my main concern with running that outside lane through there is just that you're hurting those tires more than those guys running the bottom lane through that whole corner, because you're turning for a longer amount of time. Not sure if that's actually having any impact. Just looking at what happened to the 03 car, Zachary DeLello, who ran that line pretty much every lap, just makes me a little bit nervous. Of course, he could have been using up his tires at other parts of the track that we're not totally, not completely aware of. So I could totally be off base there. But I'd be a little bit concerned to run that. I think that I would be a little bit more conservative, run those normal lines that are rubbered in, and get around this place and just kind of hold down the fort at this point in the race if I was Kyle Corbett. But of course I'm not Kyle Corbett, and Kyle Corbett is leading the race, so he's doing something right. I just hope that it'll last for him, and we might have an exciting race here if it isn't.
And he's pulled out to a full second lead over Ryan Caggiano as we now have 5 laps to go, and Corbett doing as best as he possibly can to hang on to this lead. He doesn't know if he'll even be racing in this series next year. He's got no opportunities for 2023. His current opportunities came and went. He's being cast aside in favor of Robert Weaver, but I think if the right team picks him up for next year, he could go on a tear just as he's going on one here in this race. He's a great talent. He's honed his talents for Genesis Engineering. Last year, he got a shot in the big time with Robbers Racing this year. And if someone gets him for next year, this could be a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to look at what he's done this season. I mean, he's sitting here in the playoffs. He's obviously leading this race. He's got one of the fastest lines vehicles out there, driver, whatever you want to call it. He's leading this thing, and he's dominating right now. So he was all over Zachary DeLello and made him wear out his stuff at the beginning of this race. That's exactly what you have to do. He didn't really have to work too hard to pass him. Once he was able to get low, he figured out that line. He just used up the 03 car, got by him and drove away as far as we were concerned. We thought that 81 would fall away pretty quickly. He didn't, but no pressure to Kyle Corbett. I mean, he did not make a single mistake coming around this racetrack, which as we've described is pretty tough to not make any mistakes at all. And he's just putting on one heck of a show. So we'll see that lead extend as they cross the line. There it is, another half second tacked onto the lead for the 66 car. So it's lights out, and whoever gets them next season is going to be pretty lucky.
Here we have the closest battle on the racetrack currently. This is the battle of 6 through 9 between DeLillo, Hemler, Martinez, and Alex Verget-Berube, who has gotten past Cody Goforth to move up into 9th. These four are currently the closest battle on the racetrack within the top 10 as they dive it off into turn 3 and through 4. We'll see if any of them run wide through here. Oh, Alex gets wheel hopped it really bad into turn 4. He's going to lose a little bit of time off Martinez. That might allow Goforth and Young to get a run on him. But so far, he's doing a pretty good job. He started outside the top 10. He's running in it now. And Goforth's actually had a pretty rough race. He started 3rd, and now he's all the way back to 10th, as his teammates had similar issues. A bit of a rough day for Team Dayspring. They're having a good day today. They're having a double top 10. But man, starting 1st and 3rd in this race, you'd have thought they'd have been contending for wins.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, it is totally feasible. People talking about before this race, there's a chance that they drive out there together and drive into the sunset. You know, you might have a shot to do that, but they must have missed it on the setup for the long run here. And of course, everybody knew it was going to be a long run. You don't get cautions at road courses, so just something is amiss with those two cars, and they're running towards the back of this top 10 now. So that's a little bit of a tough break for them. Two guys that really needed a good run today to kind of keep their hopes in the playoffs. And of course, they're all going to be gaining on Autumn Koger, who we have not mentioned at all today, at 19.
Last I saw, she was running in the 18th position. So yeah, they're all going to gain on her.
Yeah, so that's a loss of position from the starting spot. So of course she was leading this points championship coming into the day, only by 2 points over the 3 car. But that's just gonna help. And then you've got Patrick Smith. He's running well, so he's gonna be up there. Alex is of course noted in 9th right here. So this is gonna shuffle up the grid a little bit, but still you got to have good days consistently in the playoffs to have a shot to win it at the end. So we'll see how this plays out for everybody once it's all over.
You have to have a run through the playoffs like Christian Vargas did in the Superstar Series last year. He had 9 top 10s in the 10 playoff races. His only non-top 10 was actually at this very track where he finished 23rd. Other than that, he was a model of consistency through the playoffs, and he's got a good shot of it tomorrow as well. But our focus now is on the Nitro National Series, who in 3 laps' time will declare a winner at Denver Motorsports Park, and it very well could be Kyle Corbett, who stretched his lead to 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, and I think that Patrick Smith and Keon Daly are smelling blood in the water from Ryan Caggiano right now, who's falling back into their clutches a little bit right now, and the 04, he's going to have a shot at 2nd place here. That's going to be a couple more points, and then Keon Daly is looking for some more points as well in this thing. So everybody's just fishing right now, trying to see what they can do in the closing laps of this race to gain some spots, gain some points. But I have a feeling that lead, without something catastrophic happening, is just out of reach.
So as they round 14 and 15, we're coming to 2 laps to go this time, and Kyle Corbett stretched his lead in a big way. They head off into turn 16, into the chicane. 17 follows, and then 18 is pretty much a straight line at this point. But coming out of turn 18, off the final corner, we're coming to 2 laps to go, and we'll see what the gap is at the line now. Yep, he gained another 2/10 on Ryan Caggiano. So at this point, it's going to be very difficult without a big mistake from the 66 to take the win away from him. But there is still a battle for 2nd raging on between these 3, and I fully expect it to get a little more intense in the final 2 laps.
Yeah, well, a battle for 3rd mainly. It looks like Keon Daly is starting to gain a lot of time through that through the oval section, kind of to end and begin this lap here that we have at Denver. So 52 is, if he's able to kind of stay in touch, he goes wide through turn 4 right there. But if he's able to stay in touch, he might have a shot at taking the spot away from the 04. And then, of course, these two might both be able to pass Ryan Caggiano before the end of the race. Not totally sure what that car still has left in the tank. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Coming down into 7, 8, and 9, Corbett, you can see off in the distance, just running away with this race. Corbett looking for his first win since Washington, D.C. back in July. So he needed a strong run, A, to help his playoff position, and B, to help him find a ride for next year.
Yeah.
We've already talked about that in great detail. But if any team owners in any of the three series are looking for a guy to give them solid results, I would give a good look at him if he'll take your calls, and I'm sure he will. But we're coming to the white flag this time. Corbett's lead's almost 2 seconds. Can anyone stop him?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think that he's only extended that lead a little bit more in this lap, and he's coming to the white flag here, so no caution will derail this race, and even if we could get a caution, it'd be over anyway. So I don't know. This car's just got to hold together. Tires got to hold together. Drivers got to hold together. That's all you need to finish out this race here. Kyle Corbett staring down a victory here in Denver. It's got the
white flag is out. We've got 1 lap remaining here at Denver Motorsports Park, and Kyle Corbett's built up lead of 2.3 seconds. He's got a great lead in hand, and his closest rivals are battling each other for second. This is exactly what the 66 wanted to see. He wanted to see those guys fighting behind him, and you can see the lead he's built up over second place. As long as nothing calamitous happens in this final 3/4 of the lap, he's golden.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, when Zachary DeLello took the lead on lap 1 and started to drive away with it a little bit, I was not expecting Kyle Corbett to be the guy to chase him down and battle and take the lead, but sure enough, he took second place away from Ryan Caggiano and drove up there. I mean, he started in 5th in this race, so he had a solid starting spot, but he took advantage of a great situation, chased down the leader, pestered him, and then ended up stealing the lead away and just dominating. As soon as his car got some clean air, no mistakes, no problem for Kyle Corbett. He just drove away, and that is absolutely a great run from the 66 car, and he's hopefully going to cap this thing off with a win, unless there's something catastrophic that happens in this final part of the lap. I think Kyle Corbett has got it made right now here at Denver.
Back onto the oval, out of the infield for the final time. Kyle Corbett, you see Ryan Caggiano is pretty far back. He's not going to be able to make anything happen. He's got 1 more chicane to go between him and his second career win. Off of turn 15 for the final time. Corbett dives it off into the chicane. He's got to watch those curbs. They're really tall in this track, but he makes it through without any issue. Off of turn 18 for the final time. It's going to be Kyle Corbett potentially saving his career with his second win in this Nitro National Series with a big win at Denver Motorsports Park. The final margin of victory between he and Ryan Caggiano, 3.1 seconds that cover the top 4. Alexa Lucian comes across a lonely 5th. Zachary DeLello did hold on to 6th at the end, ahead of Nicky Martinez. Todd Hemler, a good run for him in 8th. Alex Viget-Perub never quite recovered from his little wheel hop into turn 4. He comes home 9th, and Cody Goforth runs at the top 10. But Kyle Corbett made this race his own on lap 9 when he made that very decisive pass on Zachary DeLello. But I think his race was made on lap 1 when he managed to get by Goforth and Patrick Smith through turn 1 and 2 on the oval on the opening lap. That's what got him in position and what enabled him to be the main challenger to that 03 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows what kind of passes he would have been able to make if he had not been clear going into the infield section, on that first lap. So it's the little things, and Kyle Corbett absolutely made this day his own and just raced the track and did a fantastic job doing it. So a great win from Kyle Corbett in the 66 car, and a great battle that he had with Zachary DeLello, and of course the 03 ended up back in 6th place. Good for him to not fall farther back in that pack after burning up his stuff. But man, oh man, a great race from Kyle Corbett, a great win, and good luck to him and the rest of the playoffs and everybody for the rest of the season. And for next season, Kyle Corbett, he's available, folks. We'll see what happens there.
And we now only have 5 races remaining in the 1-Up Nitro National Series season. The first of those comes next week when we take on the terrifyingly high banks of Talladega Superspeedway for some close quarters, 3-wide pack racing action out in Talladega. That is going to have its own skill set required for that. And remember, Kyle Corbett's first win of the season came on a super speedway type race in Washington, D.C. We'll see if he can go for another one out in Talladega in 1 week's time. But from Dukansak and from myself as well, we say goodbye from the Denver Motorsports Park. We've had a great race here on the road course here at Denver, but it was Zachary DeLello's race to lose. But Kyle Corbett stamped his authority on it, got past on lap 9, led the rest of the way. But you gotta think, that first win for DeLello, it's gotta be coming soon, and at a place like Talladega, anything's possible.